Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. As you can see, we've just built a little bit of a track there and just wanted to kind of get to this point where we have a sub bass and how to make this sub bass sound a little bit louder and a little bit more powerful. Because when you start cutting off the frequencies and actually closing the filter down, you start to get things disappearing. Like, firstly, you lose harmonics. They're still there in a sort of way, but you are filtering out a lot of that harmonic content, which gives you that subby bass pad preset. Just because it's a sustained note, a lot of people refer to it as a pad bass, but it's still a sub bass. It doesn't have to be 4 to the floor or doing a sort of pattern on the bottom end of your track. It can just be a single solitary note, and that is still a sub bass. Doesn't matter how long the note is. Still a sub bass. So let's have a look at this Trance 2 which I've got here. I've closed the filter and we have this sound. So I recommend that you put headphones on because you're going to hear this the best, especially with sub basses. So what we're going to do is just going to draw a sustained note here. Let's just put grid locking back on there. Okay, so we've got a nice looping bass there. So let's listen to that. Okay, so there's a number of things that you can do. So let's look at the EQ here. You can see this is where our detail is. A little bit of upper mids there still coming through. Now we can go in here and we can start emphasizing certain areas of the bass. So straight away, we have more power. We're actually emphasizing one of the frequencies here, which is the build up from the fundamental. As you can see, this is the fundamental A1, then this is A2, A3, so you can see where things are happening. So I've boosted A2 to bring some tonal presence back into there. So if we just bypass, you can hear it adds a little bit more clarity and enables you to hear it a little bit higher up in the spectrum. And you can do little tricks like that. You can use dynamic EQ if you want to use it creatively. But one of my favourite ways, if we just get rid of that for now, is there is a particular plugin that I like to use, and I'll show you that in a second. And also, if you head into Rapid, a lot of synths will support having a notch filter. So let's go to the notch filter here. And we'll keep this on screen. I don't know why I closed that. There we are. So let's just... Working with one screen today, guys, so this is quite difficult, rearranging things on one screen. So if I just take that off screen so we can see more of this, let's just keep this always on top. That not always on top. Let's just try this again. Always on top. There we are. So you can see that frequency there. Now, when we apply this notch filter, we've just changed the preset as well, I think. Trance 2. Let's... No, we haven't. Bass 1 there. Okay, so now we have the notch in place. You can see the notch has actually removed some content and makes it sound really thin and weak. And you can see where it's notched out a section. So let's move this around, increase the resonance so you can hear. Suddenly we start getting a lot of presence in there. And you can see on the left hand side that fundamental frequency is at its full volume, but this one is being capped, so the A2 note is being capped at the moment. Now you can see the notch has moved to around here, where this dip is, and it is emphasizing this kind of whole section here, and we're getting more power out of that now. Just increase the width, and again back down. Make it sound really weak by cutting out that fundamental frequency and kind of restricting how it works, so you can see it's not even reaching 0 dB there. So you can use a notch. That is a good way to use it. We can use a peak filter here. gives you a more instantaneous, crazy result, and that gives you really, really good power in the lower end. So that's giving you more lower frequencies, so that's going past the fundamental and operating below it. So you can get some feel and presence in there. It's a good way to emphasize basses for cinematic sequences and things like that. That is really good. And again, there we are. We can emphasize that fundamental, or we can go past that and emphasize the second harmonic there, which is what we did here initially with this EQ. Just turn it off. Okay, so these are legitimate ways that I would emphasize the bass, and then you can kind of control it back using the filter itself, any built-in compression that the synth may come with, or you can just use some outboard compression in terms of through your mixer. So what we're going to do here is demonstrate a second way. Now, the single best plugin to do this, and it's demonstrated great by Standerwick, is Cara. Now, this is just beyond something that I would normally use, but the frequency range that you can get out of this thing, the power, is immense. So if you look here, we've got attack and release, basically, decay and sustain, shall we say, and then we've got this resonance here in the middle. Now this is adding some resonance in and then some ping pong delay or normal delay there, but we're going to turn the mix down on that. Nothing there. So we have this frequency range slider here. Now I'm going to leave it at its default setting, and I'm going to drag down the upper frequencies. So if you've got the headphones on, can you hear exactly what is happening there now? So we're now introducing more lower frequencies that are currently cut out. And instantly we've got an insane amount of power. So let's have a look at the EQ here. Let's get rid of the mixer. So let's have a look when we bring this back up. Not much happening. And we need to reorder the plugins. So let's just do that in a second. Fab filter after Cara. There we are. Okay, look at how much focus there is on that lower end now. Look how much mid-range has disappeared. So you can see it's kind of peak there, just about there. That's a crazy amount of bass. Bring this down. Then we have a bit of a shorter range to operate in there. So if you want some more lower mid detail, let's have it in there. If you want a bit less, and this is cracking to use as a filter as well. I think I've mentioned this before. And then there's just what you can feel. You can see there's data there still, but this is the cinematic territory. So if we just go back up, and there it is. All that is that really low rumble that you get in a cinematic piece of music that makes the subwoofers just go absolutely nuts. And this, absolutely amazing. It's just something that I absolutely love using. And it's a quick and easy way. You just fire it up, you don't change anything, you just turn the delay off, and then you just play with these frequencies. So let's bypass. So look at how much harmonic content's coming through. And then look at how much it is actually withheld and restricted, which is great for sub-bass territory. And then suddenly we have this lovely powerful bass. If we go here, we'll turn the gain down now to match the rest of the... Or we could turn it right up. So -12 on the gain. Then you can bring this bass in. There's its power spot. emit this sub bass, you'll hear the power that it's added in. And it's very controlled, and that is all down to Cara keeping it under control. And again, we can use the notch filter or the peak filter here to emphasize things. Reduce the master. And then some sidechain. Okay, so I hope that helps identify how to add a little bit more presence into your sub bass. So this isn't a fully fledged uplifting trance track, but the same principle applies, and it applies to any style of music, to be honest. You can see that I just picked a preset there, Trance Bounce 2, closed the filter. As long as the envelope is kind of set to 100% sustain, you're going to have that same sort of sound where it's just a constant sustained note. It sounds just, it's easy results. As you can see, we have the option to boost the frequency just using some EQ to boost the kind of extra harmonics that come after the fundamental. And you can use the filters built into your synths, so use a peak or a notch to emphasize and remove certain frequencies that you don't want, which then help the others be emphasized. And finally, use some sort of creative tool such as Cara with this frequency range filter section to really empower the low end a lot more and add some character and taste back into your track. So there may be other plugins out there, but that is one of my favorites to use because it's just literally as soon as you open it, you can do it. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment down below and I will answer all comments when I get round to it. There's a lot of comments these days. Hit the like button so everybody else can see all these things that are happening on the channel, and finally hit subscribe if you haven't already. 3 videos per week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.